I'm Randy Vance. You know, 4 years ago, I got a chance to ride my first Blackfin boat, and it was a great experience. Now, 4 years later, there's 7 more models in the line, and I thought it was time to take a look at what goes into a Blackfin boat. So before I took the tour, I met with Mark Owens, the Vice President of Design and Engineering, and Earl Blackwell, the Vice President of Manufacturing, to find exactly how they so quickly captured the hearts of the sport fishing boater. Tell me about how you felt about starting up Blackfin, because you were starting from scratch.
Absolutely. It was an honor to be able to start from scratch, and we knew it was going to be a challenge. We knew there was a lot of fish brands we were going to compete with. We actually searched the market and broke it into 3 categories. We wanted to be in Tier 2 from a pricing standpoint, but our boat came out Tier 1 from a quality standpoint. All the development engineers on my team, about 18 to 20 of us, are either fishermen or boaters. And we've been doing this well over 20 years, most of us. So when you put thinking like that together, it was a good avenue.
The in-house management team that we have, their experience here at Blackfin alone is over 90 years, just here. Their total industry experience in the marine industry of building product is over 270 years. So an incredible amount of knowledge, expertise, so they know how to lead and direct people in building great product.
With respect to quality control at just about every stop, how do you manage that?
Well, it's done by process. The best way to say that is process, and by that I mean we have an actual quality assurance book for every single boat. In that book, every stage of construction, there's specific things that must be done in every step, and the crafts person, man or woman, has to check off that they've done it, sign it, and then our assurance people look at that. Well, by the time we get to the completion of the boat, that book is hundreds of pages long, but we keep that on file, and it allows us to train from, if you will, to assure that we're getting things done correctly and monitored. And we audit that book every single week, and every boat goes out of here, it is audited.
That gives us plenty to look for, so let's go take our tour right now. Now, if you've never been in a boat factory before, you might find it surprising that the first thing they do is gel coat the boat even before they build it. That's why hull preparation is so important. First, Blackfin stores their hulls and molds inside to protect them from the elements. Second, they are meticulously gone over and graded between A, B, and C, and if they don't make the grade, they go back to school. Right now, this boat is getting prepped for lines in the gel coat, and it's extremely precise and clean as a whistle. Now, the gel coat spray booth right here comes into full action while the factory sleeps. That's so that parts like this hull you see right here are ready for construction first thing in the morning. This has already received its gel coat finish and its barrier coat treatment. One thing you need to note is that the style lines are molded in, not just painted on, to give it a really crisp look. Now, after the hull prep, the gel coat, the barrier coat, we bring the part over here to the skin coat. Now, the skin coat is a 4-ounce treatment, whereas most boat companies are using 2. The skin coat's design and purpose is to prevent distortion as they finish the build of the part and install it in the boat. Using that extra 4-ounce makes sure that it cures uniformly, and some parts are getting a vinyl ester skin coat as well. Once the skin coat is cured, then they add the structural laminate and the bulkheads, in this case here for the back of the anchor locker, and the sacrificial bulkheads for lifting the part from the mold. Now we're here at the hull build. We're using fiberglass cloth with carbon fiber coring. One other thing that you're going to note, all the parts going into this boat have been CNC cut. You can also see the black diagram on the fiberglass. That is the marking put on by a CNC machine that tells the assembly people exactly where to put the merthaculite adhesive for a uniform construction. Next, they'll drop the structural stringer grid in there, which also serves as the liner, giving you the hatch compartments below deck. Now we've watched them build the hull, the structural grid. This is the deck. They're ready to pull this off the mold using this hoist attached to these sacrificial bulkheads. They'll pull it up, flip it over, and bond it to the structural grid and hull that you just saw built. So far, we've watched them build a structural grid and a hull. The next thing they do is they flip that grid over, drop it into the hull, and merthaculite it in. Now it's time to pull the mold off the structural grid. Now before you can drop the deck into the hull, it has to go through cut and grind. There they clean up the edges, cut the holes out for the stereo speakers, reinforce them so that everything stays put, and they've also prepared the hull to receive the loomed wiring harness when it's time. When this is done, it goes to parts inspection to make sure everything's perfect before it's bonded to the hull. Here we're at deck assembly. Everything that can be built into the Blackfin boat before it's assembled is done so right here. Rod holders, stereo speakers, a lot of wiring, plumbing, live wells, and the console. The entire theory of assembly is modular in nature. The leaning post, the rigging station, the consoles are all built as modules and dropped into the deck. Just like the deck, the hull is assembled as completely as possible before the deck is dropped. The fuel tank is coated for corrosion resistance, dropped in, fastened, and foamed in place so it doesn't drum or slosh. All of the plumbing is double clamped and sealed so the boat remains watertight for its lifetime. Once this deck is lowered onto the hull with that merthaculite sealant, it's bonded in one solid piece, ideal for running rough seas in a Blackfin. Another important part of the assembly area in the Blackfin factory is what they call sub-assembly. They're making parts that go in the parts, and in this case, you'll find all the battery switching systems manufactured here in the factory, as are the battery trays and rod holders, and this one happens to double as a ladder holder for the dive ladder. Thousands of parts are cut for boats on this 3-axis router so that they fit precisely and perform the function for which they're designed. And in the Eastman room, they're using CNC technology to cut all the fiberglass cloth for every boat. In fact, every boat has every part, every piece of fabric, screw, bolt, have it all assembled in a cart ready to go on board before anybody even sprays a drop of gel coat. There's a third factory where they make small parts using open and closed molding. They make hatches here and components that go in modules that also go in boats. So Jason and Gary manage the entire engine rigging process. They're bringing the fuel lines through, the steering lines, and all the control lines. In addition, they're making watertight the engine mounting bolts. Everything from soup to nuts on the motors will be done here by the time it moves down to the next station. Now at Blackfin, every boat is run through the test tank for up to a half a day. When they do that, they're looking for leaks below the water line and from the deck. If they find them, they correct them and restart the test clock. In addition, they'll also be run testing the engines, the instrumentation, all the pumps on board, and the audio system. At this point in the manufacturing process, this Blackfin is finished. It's been through 3 stages of quality assurance, and the team is ready to make it showroom ready, cover it, and ship it to the dealers.
The dealer network is very excited also. They are constantly calling and asking for different things that we don't even offer. What I do is I get with Mark Owens, our VP of Engineering, and I say, hey, look, this dealer's looking for such and such, and then he takes it on his side and says, hey, this is something good, we should offer that. And that's where we get the dealer's ideas incorporated with the product that we're presently building.
After following these boats through one of the most comprehensive, quality-controlled construction process I've seen in a while, all I want to do is get my hands on the wheel and the throttle and drive this puppy. But in reality, that's not going to happen, because what is going to happen is 3 more Blackfin quality control officers are going to come on board and double-check what's already been double-checked for a triple check. That's the Blackfin way, and I'm Randy Vance in the Blackfin factory in Williston, Florida.